In the early 20th century, the Greenwood district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was a bustling neighborhood known as the Black Wall Street. It was a place of opportunity, a beacon of hope, a testament to resilience and tenacity in the face of adversity. This vibrant district, a stone's throw from the bustling heart of Tulsa, was a testament to the spirit of the African American community. In this district, dreams were born and realized. The streets were lined with thriving businesses, grocery stores, banks, law offices, and theaters. There were schools where young minds were nurtured and churches where souls found solace. All these institutions were owned and run by African Americans, a remarkable feat in an era still gripped by the shadow of segregation and the Jim Crow laws. The prosperity of the Greenwood district was no accident. It was the fruit of hard work, determination, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. This district was a beacon of African American success, a shining example of what could be achieved despite the barriers of prejudice and discrimination. But this was not just a place of business. It was a community, a place where people built their homes and raised their families, a place where they could be proud of who they were and what they had achieved. But then a single event in May 1921 would set off a series of actions that would forever change this thriving community. On May 30th, 1921, a black shoeshine boy named Dick Rowland was accused of assaulting a white elevator operator named Sarah Page. This accusation set in motion a chain of events that would change Tulsa forever. The details of the encounter between Rowland and Page are murky, but what we do know is that Rowland was taken into custody later that day. As word of the arrest spread, local newspapers fanned the flames of racial tension. Sensational headlines and exaggerated stories circulated, painting Rowland as a dangerous criminal and Page as an innocent victim. The narrative was set, and the city was on edge. Meanwhile, outside the courthouse where Rowland was being held, an angry mob began to gather. The crowd, predominantly white, was fueled by the inflammatory news reports, and their numbers swelled as the day wore on. They demanded justice, but their concept of justice was far from fair. In response, a group of black men, some of them veterans of World War I, arrived at the courthouse determined to prevent a lynching. They were vastly outnumbered, but their resolve was unshakable. They were there to protect one of their own, a symbol of their community, their prosperity, their struggle. The stage was set, the players were in position, the spark had been lit. As tension escalated, the Greenwood district stood on the brink of a catastrophic event. On the night of May 31st, 1921, the powder keg exploded. A wave of violence surged through Greenwood, a thriving African American community known as the Black Wall Street. This prosperous neighborhood, brimming with successful businesses and affluent individuals, was about to face a cataclysmic event that would forever change its course. A mob of white residents, inflamed by racial tension, stormed into Greenwood. Their hearts ablaze with hatred, they unleashed a torrent of violence that would shock the nation. Houses were invaded, residents were assaulted, and businesses were looted. The streets of Greenwood echoed with the sounds of gunfire, shattering glass, and the terrified screams of its residents. But the violence didn't stop at ground level. In an unprecedented act of terror, private planes, commandeered by the mob, soared over Greenwood. These aircrafts, normally symbols of human achievement and progress, were turned into deadly tools of destruction. Firebombs rained down from the sky, setting buildings, homes, and even fleeing residents ablaze. The once bustling streets of Greenwood were now a fiery hellscape, the smoke so dense it blotted out the sun. The fires raged on, consuming everything in their path. The elegant mansions of successful African American entrepreneurs, the bustling businesses that lined the streets, the schools where children once laughed and learned, all were devoured by the inferno. The fire department, hindered by the mob, could do little but watch as the flames danced across the district. When dawn broke on June 1st, the Black Wall Street was nothing more than a smoldering wasteland. The once vibrant neighborhood was eerily silent, its buildings reduced to skeletal ruins, its streets littered with the charred remnants of a prosperous community. The thriving heart of African American commerce and culture was now just a haunting testament to the destructive power of racial hatred. In less than 24 hours, the Black Wall Street was reduced to ash and rubble. The massacre of Greenwood was a dark chapter in American history, a stark reminder of the deep-seated racial animosity that once tore a community, a city, and indeed a nation apart. The morning of June 1st, 1921 revealed a scene of horrific devastation. The vibrant Greenwood district, once a bustling center of black prosperity, was now a smoldering wasteland. The aftermath of the Tulsa Massacre was as numbing as the event itself. In the wake of the violence, Greenwood was left in ruins. An estimated 300 lives were lost and nearly 10,000 African Americans were left homeless. The once thriving district, teeming with successful businesses and homes, was reduced to ashes. Over 1,200 houses were burned down, along with schools, churches, and dozens of businesses. The economic loss was staggering, running into millions, a colossal sum in 1921. But the physical destruction was only part of the story. An eerie silence descended upon the city, a silence imposed by the very forces that should have sought justice. The city's officials, rather than taking steps to hold the perpetrators accountable, decided to erase this dark chapter from the city's history. The massacre was not mentioned in history books, nor was it discussed in public forums. For decades, the survivors and their descendants carried the burden of this silenced history. The victims of the massacre were buried in mass graves, their names and stories lost in the annals of forgotten history. The absence of any form of reparations or justice for the victims added another layer of tragedy to the story. The survivors received no aid to rebuild their lives. Neither the city nor the state took responsibility for the destruction, leaving the victims to bear the brunt of the loss. The aftermath of the Tulsa Massacre is a grim reminder of the systemic racial violence that marked this era of American history. The vibrant Greenwood district, once a symbol of black prosperity, was now a haunting testament to racial violence. The resilience of the survivors, who rebuilt their lives from the ashes, stands as a beacon of hope amidst this tragic history. For decades, the Tulsa Massacre remained a hidden chapter in American history. It was a dark secret, concealed under layers of silence and neglect. But in recent years, a concerted effort has been made to shed light on this tragedy. The Greenwood district, once known as Black Wall Street, is now the site of memorials and remembrances. The resilience and spirit of this community, though tested, has never been extinguished. Efforts to acknowledge and commemorate the massacre have been bolstered by the ongoing search for mass graves. Archaeologists and historians are working tirelessly, sifting through the layers of time in pursuit of truth and closure. The journey to justice is long and arduous, but the memory of Greenwood and its people remain a beacon of hope and resilience. As we remember Tulsa, we remember not just the tragic events of 1921, but also the vibrant community that once thrived on the Black Wall Street.